Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
Joining me now is Calley Means. He is the co-author with his sister, Dr. Calley Means, of the book Good Energy, The Surprising Connection Between Metabolism and Limitless Health. Now, Susie Wiles, who's President Donald Trump's White House Chief of Staff, the first woman Chief of Staff in history, gave me this book, I should say recommended it to me well over a year and a half ago. And I must tell you, it completely and totally changed my life, and therefore it changed the way I eat, therefore it changed my life. I heard Calley Means on Fox, or I should say I watched him the other night. I was very, very impressed. Let's play that.
TrueMed co-founder and co-author of Good Energy, one of my favorite books, Calley Means, joins me now. All right, Calley, could you respond to Senator Warren, who says that you guys and this crew are going to bring back polio, measles, mumps, and the plague?
Jesse, having sat with Robert Kennedy Jr. and that lawyer mentioned, Aaron Siri and Robert's team for the past couple of weeks, I'm enraged by this. For Senator Warren to question the motivations of Robert F. Kennedy and his amazing team is outlandish. It's offensive. She should apologize. Robert Kennedy is focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is President Trump's mandate to him to reverse the chronic disease crisis for children. He has said that he has prayed about an opportunity to do this for 19 years, and President Trump has answered his prayers. He's answered the prayers of the millions of Maha moms who voted Trump for the first time to give leverage to President Trump's promise to reverse this crisis among our children, to get the toxins out of our food. And he's putting together a fantastic team to do that. That is what is being focused on every single day, every single hour. And this is completely offensive that Senator Warren is questioning his motivations. And let me be very clear. When it comes to vaccines, he is saying one thing and one thing only. And that is that they should be studied just like any other pharmaceutical product. It makes no sense that we cannot conduct science on basic pharmaceuticals created by companies that, as a demonstrable fact, have settled billions of dollars of criminal penalties in the past 10 years. That is all he's saying about that issue.
Well, Liz Warren's just one person of 100 in the Senate, and take that for what it's worth. Big food is a different story. Let's talk about big food. I mean, they're coming out there. Ultra-processed foods are fine. Don't demonize ultra-processed foods. This is going to be a battle. What is this going to look like?
There's going to be three fronts to our response, and it starts with the NIH and the amazing pick of Jay Bhattacharya. And President Trump and Bobby Kennedy are going to instruct him to get away from pharmaceutical R&D and no ideology here. Just get to the bottom line of why we're getting sick. Answer fundamental questions like, is glyphosate hurting our microbiome? And does it make sense for the top source of American calories to be industrial oil lubricant, seed oils? The next step is the FDA. He's going to instruct Marty McCary, an incredible choice, to get the corruption, to scour that agency for the corruption, to get it out. Marty's going to ask whether it makes sense for 10,000 chemicals to be in our food that are banned throughout the rest of the world. And at CMS, Dr. Oz is compiling the best and the brightest minds in America to steer that organization away from the trillions of dollars of sick care, of managing diseases after we get sick, and asking what is the root cause. The Biden administration today is incentivizing soda for kids and has now recently guided for Ozempic for 6-year-olds.
Oh, my God.
President Trump and
Are
Bobby
you
Kennedy.
Ozempic for 6-year-olds?
Everyone needs to pay attention to this. The Biden administration gave a Christmas present to pharma just 2 weeks ago. And it said that Medicare should offer Ozempic as the first-line defense, not after dietary interventions. And the key thing about Medicare, Jesse, is the second that's approved, it goes to Medicaid and kids as young as 6.
All right.
What President Trump and Bobby Kennedy are saying is let's stop poisoning our kids.
It's outrageous, and it's corrupt, and it's got to stop. And hopefully it will. Keep up the good work, and have a great weekend, Calley.
We're fighting.
I should mention that Calley Means is an influential and informal advisor to both Robert Kennedy and to President Donald Trump on health policy, and helped engineer the I think, history-changing alliance between the two of them. I've seen great interviews with Calley Means, with Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson, and I'm very honored to have him today on the Roger Stone Show. Calley, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here, Roger.
This is, I think, transformative in our American politics. I really think that we are on the cusp of a new realignment. And it's ironic that health policy ends up being the key element, along with opposition to war and commitment to free speech, that allow for this realignment in which people of common sense, Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, free thinkers, have gravitated to this important political realignment and the alliance of Donald Trump and Robert Kennedy. And despite the very best efforts of the so-called mainstream legacy media to vilify Robert Kennedy, I can honestly say I've watched him in dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews and forums. Never once have I ever seen him make any assertion that he could not back up with a study or other scientific information to prove his point. I cannot tell you how much I admire his courage.
Well, Roger, thank you for that incredible intro. And let me just kind of add my 2 cents from seeing this over the past 2 years kind of play out. As you said, this happened extremely organically for me being brought into this orbit. My sister and I felt like this issue of the childhood chronic disease rates rising at record levels in the United States, right? There's just no reason. This is not partisan. There's just no reason that we should have 38% of our teens having prediabetes when that's like, close to zero in Europe and Japan. There's no reason that 50% of our teens are overweight or obese. There's no reason that we have a mental health epidemic where, 40% of teens qualify as having a mental health disorder. There's clearly something very wrong, and it's pronounced in the United States. My sister saw inside the medical system, Stanford Med School, started speaking out. I was a former lobbyist, inspired by her, started speaking out. It came from the death of our mom, from a preventable disease, from, seeing what's happening to kids. And as you said, it just organically was connected to Susie Wiles and Vince Haley and some folks on the campaign. And never in my life have I had an ideological conversation with the Trump folks about this. They wanted to put this on the national agenda and make this a legacy item for President Trump. And, got to know Bobby Kennedy, who's obviously been doing that. I've always seen Bobby Kennedy as the most MAGA candidate in the race, behind President Trump. He was tapping into the same vein of not really left, right, but just what the heck is going on with these corrupt institutions. Well, there's these institutions and this crony capitalism that's standing in front of the American people. The American people want to thrive. They want to be healthy. And I think what Trump did is Kennedy and Tulsi and Elam, these former Democrats, they put everything on the line. I mean, you saw it. Bobby Kennedy was killing himself to campaign for President Trump. He felt like President Trump winning was the most important event in his lifetime. So did Elon Musk, so did Tulsi Gabbard, so did this big coalition President Trump brought together. And it's been inspiring to me seeing, again, inside these conversations, it is about getting to the bottom of root cause issues. The only mandate from President Trump is how do we make sure kids are healthier? And I think something very spiritual came through with this unity team in the campaign. You saw it with the gender gap closing, with independents, with young people, with African Americans, with Latinos. They're truly, I think you're right. I think this is a historic realignment of American politics. And now you have a situation where President Trump is trying to get these unimpeachable things done. He's trying to clean up the military-industrial complex. He's trying to clean up the healthcare-industrial complex. He's trying to clean up the education-industrial complex that's keeping our kids less competitive. He's trying to do these, I would say, unimpeachable things. I think he's got Americans behind him, and I think the only people standing in the way are the corporate media that, for some reason, is against these things getting done. I think it's absolutely shameful that you have senators like Elizabeth Warren, not talking about policy, but literally saying that Trump and Kennedy are trying to bring back polio and trying to really get off on people being sick. I mean, that is slanderous, and it could not be less true. This is a non-ideological, mandate from President Trump to just get generational change on health. And I think Americans are rallying to that, and they should be.
Well, there was a woman named Lori Gregory who recruited me to the health freedom movement several years ago. I have been an admirer of both you and your sister since that time. And I salute you for helping bring together this grand alliance. I played my own role in this. I think we are about to change the entire face of American politics. Folks, you're listening to The Roger Stone Show. We'll be right back. So whatever you do, Don't touch that dial. We'll have more with Calley Means.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code LISTEN50 for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code LISTEN50. T's and C's apply.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. Folks, we're talking to Calley Means, who is the co-author with his sister, Calley Means, of Good Energy, The Surprising Connection Between Metabolism and Limitless Health, a book I strongly recommend to you. It will change your life as it changed mine. More importantly today, perhaps, Calley Means is an informal advisor to both Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President Donald Trump on health policy, and helped effectuate the alliance between the two men, which has changed the face of American politics. He continues as Mr. Kennedy and President Trump are to making America healthy again, and he joins us again here on the Roger Stone Show. Calley, what should be done about the FDA, the CDC? The president has an excellent appointment at the National Institute of Health, but it never made sense to me that the American people were being pushed a vaccination which had no clinical trials and the manufacturers of which had no legal liability. This never made any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the media tries to make this all kind of hot button culture war issues. And what the media has done, which, by the way, with TV news is 50% funded by pharma, is basically made it off limits to question, any pharmaceutical intervention or, frankly, food intervention we're subjecting onto kids when we live 10 years less in America, 10 years fewer years than the Japanese or our friends in Switzerland. There's something clearly very wrong happening. And what President Trump has made very clear is we're going to follow the science. That's the key point. And I think this might surprise many people on the left. But what we're on the verge of is, in the history books, this 4 years being a return to science. I think you're being too kind. This alliance came from President Trump and Bobby Kennedy bonding over the generational desire to lower chronic disease for children. I've had a small window into it, but President Trump's mandate is very simple. We're going to conduct gold star science. That is his directive to Bobby Kennedy and Jay Bhattacharya. And it is not anti-science to question our public health policies and continually subject them to science. It's a scientific imperative. So we're going to look forward, I think, as President Trump's mandate, and we're going to assess the guidelines. I mean, in Japan, they don't fluoridate their water, right? In Japan, they don't give the Hep B vaccine which is an STD, and here it's mandated for children on the first day of life. In Japan, it isn't. Japan has much different policies for kids on the COVID vaccine that have evolved over time based on new science. And, the directive is simple, and I think the policy that's being outlined is simple. We're just going to conduct science, and we're going to continually evolve our scientific public health guidelines based on that science. What's so rich here is that, you get media article after article saying that this is going to be some kind of dangerous thing for public health. Public health cannot be worse in America right now. And, I can just attest to you, and I know you're seeing this, there's no secret plan. There's no, ideological agenda to do anything on any particular drug. What is being said is, it is a question why we have 10,000 chemicals in our food that are banned in every other country. There is a question that we have substantially different vaccine policies and pharmaceutical policies. There's something wrong that America's 4% of the world's population will produce over 70% of worldwide pharmaceutical products while ranking 60th in life expectancy. This isn't a left-right issue. It just doesn't make any sense. So the reason that Jay Bhattacharya pick, this is a guy that was blacklisted on Twitter 4 years ago, right? He was tried to be fired from Stanford. He's a preeminent academic. But the fact that somebody like that, who's had the boldness to go outside the orthodoxy, being directed by President Trump to just follow the science, that's big, because nothing is higher up in culture than the NIH research, and that, we're going to do great science there, and that's going to inform the rest of our public health policies.
Very, very well put. All right. I want to thank Calley Means for joining us today on the Roger Stone Show. This is going to be indeed historic, as Robert Kennedy and President Donald Trump are committed to making America healthy again. And they are unduly attacked when simply they're doing is asking questions, demanding facts and scientific research, which has not been forthcoming in recent decades. I think this is a vitally important part of this new political coalition in which Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians, free thinkers, people who are not political, want to return to robust health. There's no reason why the wealthiest country in the world should have the highest incidence of childhood chronic disease. That doesn't make any sense. So I salute you, Calley, for all of your hard work. And I appreciate very much your joining us today on the Roger Stone Show.
Roger, thank you for putting and doing so much to put this unity team together. Thank you for your leadership.